Hello guys, this is Wonderby Trading and we're carrying on with our weekly Bitcoin and Ethereum price analysis. And as usual, we'll go straight into the content. In front of you, you can see the BTC chart. Well, there are actually 4 different BTC charts. The one on the top left, as usual, is the BTC futures. The one on the top right is showing the BTC dominance. And the 2 bottom ones are coming from different exchanges. The one on the left is from Bitstamp with the largest history. And the one on the right is from Binance, where we actually trade. So let's go to the futures chart. Let's open it on full screen. And as you can see, during the last week, the pattern that we showed, the head and shoulders, worked itself quite nicely. We are currently right at the upper side of this downward channel. We're trying to break it, but it didn't work. We still have a gap which has not been filled during the first week. Well, half of it was actually filled. If we go into the lower time frames, you can see that this shadow covered half of it. And from our perspective, this gap can be counted either as almost filled, or you can actually think of it as it will be filled fully within the next 2 or 3 weeks. There is no statistics in terms how quickly this gap will be filled, unless it's not filled during the first week. So what we can see here is, on the lower time frame, is that we're trying to break this resistance of the huge downward channel. The volume actually is increasing quite nicely, but the good volume with the idea that we are bouncing back all the time is telling us that the resistance here is actually quite strong. So at this particular moment, we don't see any indicators that will show us that during this week we may break it completely and then start our reversal. Let's go to the BTC dominance. So what was happening during last week? You can see here on the chart there was a huge spike. So the BTC was increasing quite heavily. But at the same time, what it's done is form this double bottom scenario. So we're currently rechecking this level of support, and if we would be able to break it, then we're gonna go down. This is a very strong level of support because we have a 50 moving average, the 200 MA on the daily, and what we expect is that if we break in this, then the altcoins start growing much faster in comparison to Bitcoin. Let's go to the Bitstamp exchange, and here we'll go to the weekly chart to see what's going on here. During the past several weeks, we were trying to break the 50 MA, and we actually did it last week. The volume on this breakout is quite good. It's above the average for the past 20 days. And if we can hold right now, so if we will retest this 50 MA as a support, this is actually a very good and positive sign for the potential growth, or at least the formation of the horizontal channel between the levels of 7,700 and around 8,500. So within that channel, we can see another accumulation phase. However, don't forget that the scenario that we think is still plausible is that if we will not hold above the 50 MA and will go down, the next stop level will be around 200. And this is this triangle area which we marked so far as the new accumulation zone in 2020. And this is what we expect to be filled if we can see the confirmation of the downward move of Bitcoin. Let's go to the Binance exchange. Starting from the weekly, we can see a very similar picture here. We just broke above the downward channel. The volume was quite good. It wasn't the top volume, but at least it was above the average, and you can see this spike over here. And it's a very similar scenario. So we broke above 7,800 level. We're gonna currently test it as a support, and if the bulls will be able to hold this level as a level of support, then we can think and start thinking about the reversal and the potential upward move. However, if you go to the daily and accurately connect the weeks of the highest points in this downward channel, we can still see that we're in a very interesting scenario where we are between the 200 MA and 50 MA. We just broke above that channel. However, the resistance is quite heavy. You can see that all the time the bodies of the candles were either opening or closing around the same region of 8,200, and this gives us a reason to think that we can still go back into the downward channel, maybe retest it again and go even further down. Unless we see something different. If we break the level of around 8,500, somewhere over here, if we're breaking above that, going to test the 200 MA as a resistance, checking this as a support, and then further move upward. So right now we're in a very interesting scenario where the price is actually stuck between the 200 MA and the 50 MA. It just broke above the downward channel. However, this breakout is not very sufficient, even though the volume is quite good. So there is quite a lot of uncertainty about this particular stage, so we'll strongly recommend you to stay out of the market unless the situation becomes clear during this week in particular. So let's go to the Ethereum, and here it's very similar pattern to the BTC because everything was growing last week. So we can see finally the breakout, and in this case it's much better in terms of the price action. You can see the body of the candle was quite sufficient. The breakout was on a good volume in comparison to the previous weeks. Now we are starting our retest of the support level of around 140. Let's go to the daily chart to see what's going on here. And again, we broke above the 50, we need to retest it, and then we'll go towards $158. So something like this, we can expect this move during maybe this week or week and a half. And this is a very sufficient level of resistance. So if we touch that one, it will depend on the volume where we can break it and go towards the 200 MA, which will be closing something like that, or we will actually we're going to be stuck in a channel. That's it for this week. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay tuned with our weekly reviews of the market, and also check out the Wannabe trading platform, which is completely free. Best of luck with your trading.